Tools to Live By, brought to you by Veyer. VeyerWatches.com, Chaz.
Never stops ticking, David Lee Scales, that Veyer watch.
Doesn't stop ticking, and I'll tell you what, I'm getting fed their Instagram ads. I follow them, but then they publish ads. So I see their stuff kind of every day now. And every time it pops up, they show a surfer or a diver or something, solar powered movement. I go, that's a beautiful watch. Oh, guess what? I've got one on my wrist. I sometimes those Instagram ads hit me, and I'm like, it works. The advertising works, and I want to buy the product. And I see theirs, and I think it's a beautiful product, and I'm thrilled that I already have it.
It's great.
It's a great watch. VeyerWatches.com, ocean ready, meaning that they are guaranteed waterproof and then also assembled in the USA. Ours are solar powered. So just 6 months or 6 hours of solar energy, sunlight, powers the watch for 6 months. Pretty incredible stuff. So, anyways, the ultimate tool, and we are providing tools to live by for the listeners. Here we go, Chaz.
Hey, Chaz and David. I think I need a tool to live by for me and my friend. I'm gonna cut to the chase and then give you a little backstory to fill in. But my buddy ordered a board from a local shaper here. I want to say 5 years ago now, and he's still waiting for the board. To contextualize that, in the first year, shapers can be slow, but this shaper was still making boards. They were in local shops. They were even in internationally located shops. So, you would expect the board to maybe show up soon. As time went on, in the second year, this shaper made an announcement that he was going to quit shaping. And he promised my friend he would finish his board. So, you expect maybe second year the board's going to show up. Third year, starts teasing some photos. He got a photo of the lamination. But I looked at the photo and there's like 9-sized air bubbles in the This lamination is awful. And I'm just like, oh man, I don't know if you want this thing. But, time goes on, board's still not done. And all the while, my buddy's getting these promises of board's almost done, board's hot coated, board's sanded, it's coming, whatever. Fourth year comes around, still nothing. I'll also contextualize this by saying this shaper had a kid, got divorced, started a business, all this stuff, but still. I think my buddy's been really patient, and so I guess I just am looking for some advice, guys. Does my buddy, who is incredibly patient, just let it go? Chalk it up to a good story, or does he keep pressing? All right, guys, work or whatever.
Burned by a shaper.
Work or whatever. I like that, David Lee Scales. Work or don't.
What are your thoughts? Where do you go from here? 4 years. Clearly the money's gone. Clearly you're not getting
Yes.
your surfboard. So what is the recourse here?
Well, and I think this is a tool to live by for all of us, David Lee Scales. Important in this day and age, more important maybe now than ever, is being the bigger man.
Mm,
Hey, clearly you did something wrong. You wronged me, right? Like, that's okay. I'm going to take your wronging. I am not going to take it to social media. I am not going to hound you. I am not going to do anything. I obviously, whatever. I'm going to take the high road here, not mention it, just move along. It's a bummer. It was what, 5 years ago, let's say, what would a custom board be going for? 8, 7,
yeah.
6?
So
Yeah.
let's say $800.
$800, that's a bummer. It's a bummer I lost $800, but it's $800 5 years ago. Like there's not a bill sitting on my table where I think, ooh, I mean, or there's always going to be that bill sitting on your table where you're thinking, oh, if I had that $800 from 5 years ago, I would pay this now. Obviously, duh. This is money under the bridge, as they say. And doing that, I think taking the higher road, being the bigger man or woman or trans, is I think, a practice that makes you a better person in
Mm,
general. So you get the gift now. Your shaper has given you a gift. He has not shaped you a board, but he shaped your soul. You can choose to accept that gift and move on with just, when you see those people out, David Lee Scales, when you see that kind of wizened man or woman, and you think that person has an aura, that's the person who was burned by their shaper and didn't retaliate.
I agree that is the right approach to take as an individual. I'm shocked to hear you take it.
5 years. If this was like,
Uh,
hey, he promised it 3 months ago, and
yeah,
I
no,
paid him in full and all that, I'd say, well, at that point, again, what are you going to do? Like, yeah, put pressure on. Say, hey, man, I need my board,
of
or give me an
course.
alternative.
No, but
But
you're
5 years,
delusional. 5 years on, you're delusional to think that you're ever getting your money back or that you're getting that board, especially if the shaper stated that he's going out of business and that his life had gone through all those changes. That money's long gone, and that shaper's probably mismanaged his entire life and certainly mismanaged his finances. And so, no, there's a bunch of people trying to collect money from him, and you're just far down the list. So, yeah, you should absolutely make good with the reality, like Chaz is saying, and just move on with your life. But what I think that this highlights for me, this story, what highlighted was I interacted with a lot of surfboard shapers over the years, and I've seen a professionalism develop in the last decade that I did not anticipate coming. And certainly from kind of our friends at Channel Islands, you know what I mean? And like running like a really impressive international business.
clean.
Yeah, clean, like really an amazing business, pumping out high quality product consistently at a fairly large volume. But then also on the backyard builder level, like young guys getting into the game, and they have warehouse space or little shop that they pay for monthly. And you go in there and it's clean, and you look at the order card, and their order card is like really snazzy looking, and they take a deposit. They give you something in a timely fashion. It's high quality. It's really innovative. It's handmade. And I'm like, this is awesome. This is what it should be. They're also charging a price that is allowing them to grow their business. They run their QuickBooks accounting software so they know where the money's going and how to pay taxes and all that stuff. And I'm like, this is phenomenal. This is who I want to give my money to. You know what I mean? And the old way of like bro deals and it's all on the low key and like whatever results in things like this that this customer went through. And I'm just not down for it. Like you can still have personality and character and innovative design and all this kind of thing while still honoring your obligations. And so I don't want to publish, this shaper's name necessarily or shame him publicly, but as the word passes through the community. So this guy who went through this, I'm sure clearly he told his friend because his friend is the one who's calling, but I'm sure that word has gotten around in that community and people knew. They've learned. And that's probably why that shaper's even gone out of business since then. Is word got around that he's not reliable and that he might keep your money. And so go ahead and go give your money to the shaper down the street who's delivering as good of a quality of product, but actually delivers it.
I
That's
hear
where you should
you
spend your money.
completely. And in the meantime, though, harboring resentments and things that, ways you were wronged, only leads to that is the person at the party who does not have an aura, or who
Yeah.
has a poo-poo touchy aura.
We for sure you saw because we got a lot of DMs about 2 months ago. There was a surfboard shaper in Central California who had an opposite scenario where he actually took somebody's deposit, built them a surfboard, and then the person was upset at the timeline for how
Yes.
long the board took to get built and expressed all of that discontent, but showed up to pick up the surfboard, put it in his truck, and drove away without paying the final installment of the payment.
Yeah.
And so the surfboard shaper screenshotted all the interactions and published it and basically said, here's the name of the surfer. Here's what he looks like. Here's his truck. And nobody should deal with this guy again. And we should try to get my surfboard back.
Did you was there resolution to that story?
There was, and the surfboard shaper ended up deleting all the posts after there was resolution, but the surfer ended up paying for the surfboard.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes but here's the thing, even in that scenario, and I'm not obviously shaper, you do you, and everyone do everyone. Taking your grievances to social media, yes, it can often work, but at what cost? Does that shaper sometimes think, man, I looked real petty there? Or does that shaper say, hey, this is the new public square. I needed to get paid. I don't run this business, on good wishes and whatnot. I actually
Yeah.
needed that money to pay my glass for sand or whatever, and so I don't care. I just needed the money.
Yeah, it's a great question. I think you always look back and you feel it was too petty. Your reaction was too petty and you probably overreacted. And that's why we didn't discuss that exchange the week that it had happened, because I almost felt a discomfort with the way that the shaper handled it. Even though I think the shaper deserved to get paid for that surfboard, I was still like, I don't know, is the, let's say, $800 that you're going to earn off of this? I think publishing this whole ugly exchange cost you more than $800 in goodwill amongst the community, you
Could
know?
have, but maybe not. Maybe you and I are from a more genteel time where you just shit talk in podcasts and on blogs.
Well, that's why I didn't mention his name here, is because he deleted those posts. So I presume that he also felt a certain level of ick and then, deleted. And so now there's no point in discussing the name now. But I'll tell you what, in terms of, do you look back and feel like you were too petty? 100%.
Yeah.
Almost everything I've ever published, enough time goes by and I'm like, I really shouldn't have published that,
Yeah, when you feel that axe to grind and you go grind, when you're thinking, I am morally right here. I am in the right. I am aggrieved. I am going to grind my axe in public. No matter how right you were, uh that thing, the moral uprightness of your stance, really, really, that axe you grinded, that fresh part just gets real rusty real quick.
And it only allows everybody else something to gawk at and to be entertained by for a period of time, and a
Yep.
very short period of time.
This is a great tool to live by.
Yeah. Thank you,
Real.
Vayer
Yeah,
Watches.
Watch. Thanks for making us all better people and be able to look back at ourselves and say, maybe it wasn't great, but I wasn't petty.
Exactly. We couldn't do it without you, Vayer Watches. Vayer is spelled Vaer. I've said it enough now and you've heard it enough to where Instagram is just going to start feeding you those ads. So you'll come across it.